All right, we are looking at local level. Now, one thing I liked about going through this in Canada that I
Hello.
could I could use my address and find like my local representatives. So let's go Google Maps and we'll find somewhere because the representatives they're all public figures, right? So let's just find a place in the US and we'll see the representatives. We'll figure out how to find and look at them somewhere in California. Bakersfield. Let's just pull address. Boom. All right, now when we get representatives, we're going to look at them there. Here we go.
Again, friends, and welcome. I am Caroline. Everyone knows about the presidential elections. They're such big news. But have you ever noticed those signs during election season with all those other names on them? You know what I'm talking about? People's yards filled with tons of signs that have so many other people's names besides their presidential candidate of choice. Many of these signs are there to bolster local representatives and local politicians. And while the movement to shop local has grown so big, the movement to focus on local politics still lags behind. And that's a shame because, as we will see in today's lesson, local politics often does more to affect the everyday lives of citizens than politics up at the top. After this lesson, you should be able to discuss the key principles and structure of county government as well as municipal governments.
Difference between county and municipal. I guess she'll probably go into that. IA prep.
Well, folks, we've worked our way all the way down from Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C., down to the governor's mansion at the state level, and today we knock on the doors of City Hall. Let's begin our exploration of local government.
The county.
The county. If you
Whoa.
live in America, you live in a county. Counties are the largest geographical and governmentally designated areas that exist within states. Excuse me, not all states have counties, actually. Alaska does not have any counties, for example. In Louisiana, counties are called parishes, and in Alaska, they are called boroughs.
So they have different names. Like, I think I live in a district, not a county.
Fancy that. So, why do we have these things called counties? Well, the
In
short answer is
Canada.
this: states created counties in order to better serve citizens. You must remember, America in its early days was a vast frontier where there were a lot more trees than people. These large distances made it difficult for folks to travel to their state centers of government, and even further away were the bigger centers of government, most of which were located along the eastern seaboard. So, counties were set up with administrative centers to help facilitate these needs of citizens. Once established, a county could administer and adjudicate state law, as well as create local rules and regulations. The county is responsible also for establishing rule of law, a key principle at the local level. But the law must be accessible in order to adhere to the principle of equality and justice. County governments are, like the rest of the American government, run on the principle of popular sovereignty, which means that the people have the rights to determine who their representatives and county officials are. And that's what you're seeing with all those different signs in your neighbor's yard. Typically, each county has a county seat. A county seat is basically like the capital of the county. In the county seat, you will find all the administrative institutions that make up the county's government. Most counties have something called a county board. The name for these groups isn't always county board, but the group functions pretty much the same across the board despite differences in name. The board is a group of people charged by the state to legislate over specific areas. These areas include taxes, zoning, and the county budget. The county budget determines services provided, which is crucial for areas to operate efficiently. Word alert! Zoning, or zoning codes, determine what type of development can occur in an area. Now, county boards may have even more lofty executive duties over specific county commissions in such areas as agriculture, transportation, and election. You may see names on those yard signs for these boards because county boards are elected through popular vote.
So you elect the leader of the county, but you also elect a board. You have like multiple things you vote for in a county election.
Most counties have a number of lower positions as well. These are hired positions and are there in order to assist the administration of government. These people are the professional bureaucrats. In some counties, these non-elected officials can actually have quite a bit of power. For instance, some counties hire county managers that have important executive duties. Time to show what you know. Grab a pen and paper and let's do this thing. What key principles inform the structure of county government? Explain the structure of county government. How is the county judicial branch structured? What officials are elected?
Municipality.
Everybody loves a hometown hero. But what makes a town or a city a city? Well, for starters, a community must first apply for an incorporation. Word alert! Incorporation is the process by which a group of people requests to become a municipality. A municipality refers to a city or town. Requirements for incorporation differ from state to state, but there is typically a minimum amount of population required, as well as a number of petitions. Sometimes a special election is held to determine if the people in the area want to become incorporated. If the incorporation is granted, then the state issues a charter.
So, we just asked that. What's the difference between a municipality and a county? We moved on to municipalities real quick. A municipality and a county are both types of local government in the United States, but they serve different purposes and operate at different levels. Counties, larger regional governments within the state. Los Angeles County. A county is a subdivision of the state that covers a large geographic area and provides regional services. Okay, municipality, smaller community level governments within a county. It's the cities, towns, villages. All right, well, I think of cities. I think of something like New York, and that's not a smaller form, but if you look at it as town and villages, okay. Smaller community level governments within a county. Cities like Miami, towns like Gilbert, villages. Okay, what a municipality is? A municipality is a local government formed by the residents of a specific community. It is incorporated under state law and governed by a town/city/town, council, and a mayor or manager. Typical municipal responsibilities: local police, local street traffic control, water, sewage, trash collection, zoning and building rules. Okay. Cool. So it's a smaller level of government yet. You got counties and then you got municipalities.
Word alert! A charter is like a constitution. It delegates to a municipality certain powers as well as responsibilities, so cities are based on social contract theory. In the past, states would grant very specific and unique charters to each municipality. The type of charter each municipality receives is based on population size, which reminds you of what principle? Republicanism. I know that's what you were thinking. And the larger the municipality is, the more authority it has. And this authority ends up in a municipal government. These government structures vary across the US in their sizes and structures. There are large cities like New York City that have many districts within their municipality. There are mid-sized cities such as Charlotte, North Carolina. There are small cities that usually end up as the county seats of their counties. And then there are small towns. One phenomenon that has occurred over time is something called urban sprawl. You see, urban sprawl refers to the fact that urban areas tend to expand over time. What happens when the city starts sprawling out toward the rural areas and small towns that surround it? You get referendums, and eventually, annexation. Word alert! A referendum is a special election in which people vote directly on an issue. Annexation is the process in which a city incorporates areas surrounding it. In these scenarios, smaller towns remain separate from the city. However, these small towns can grow in population over time and become almost indistinguishable from the city. Examples of this happening can be seen in the Great Philadelphia area and also the Research Triangle area of North Carolina. What happens is that rural areas outside of a city slowly become suburban areas. Other times they become cities unto themselves, like in the case of the Silicon Valley area of California, an area outside of the city of San Francisco. As we have covered before, there are different forms of government across the cities and towns of America. For an in-depth look at the different ways city governments are structured, take a look at the PDF. Let's check to see what you picked up there. Grab a pen and paper and let's do this.
I think I'm good. Do they go into a conclusion? Ooh, they do have a recap.
Recap! Popular sovereignty, rule of law, and separation of powers are all key principles that help to create local government as the place where democracy happens in America. Local government is a legal entity created by the state, and it is divided into two subdivisions called counties and municipalities. That's all for us today. In our next lesson, we will analyze the local government in terms of its power and scope.
Okay, so then what do you vote on locally? Because if it's broken down into a county and a municipality, do you vote on the municipality? Resident. In the US, what do you vote on at the local level? Do you vote for the person who controls the county? And do you get to vote on the person who controls the municipality that you live in? Controls the municipality. All right, let's see what it says. Yes, in the US, you vote for local officials at both the county level and the municipality level. Exactly who you vote for depends on your state and your community, but here's the general rule. At the local level, you vote for officials in two main governments. Most Americans live under both county and municipal governments. You usually vote in elections for each one, as long as you live inside their boundaries. All right. Do you vote for the person who runs the county? Yes. Counties have elected leaders, though titles vary by state. Common positions include county commissioners, county supervisors. Okay, that's just the list of people you elect, or different names for them. You vote for the person who runs a municipality you live in. Yes, if you live inside the boundaries of an incorporated municipality. Typical municipal level elected positions: mayor, city council, city clerk, local judges, school board members. Schools are run by a municipal district. So you vote for a lot in the municipal level. If you live inside a city, if you live in an unincorporated area, then you do not vote in county elections. You do vote in county election. You do not vote in municipal elections because you're not in a municipality. So municipalities aren't everywhere. Other local things you often vote on: local ballot measures, school levies, changes to city charters, local referendums, sales taxes or property tax increases. Okay. How often do you have these elections? I'm going to guess every 2 years because that's how often oh, they do it like the president. Most counties hold elections every 4 years, but not all offices are elected at the same time. Municipal government election. The municipal every 4 years. City or town council every 2 or 4 years. When do they happen? During statewide general election, in odd number years to avoid voter fatigue. Spring elections for school boards and city council. Special elections if there is a vacancy. Okay, so there's a lot of electing. A lot of electing. Where was my... I live... Municipal and county representative. Or representatives. Close enough. We'll see what it gets. We got to the end of this one, right? Yep. Okay, local governments are creatures of the state. Unlike the federal-state relationship defined in the Constitution, local governments are created and regulated by state constitution and laws. They have no independent sovereignty powers. States can create, modify, or abolish them. County government structures. Counties, also called parishes, certain places are primarily administrative divisions of the state. Key features include an elected board or commission that acts as a legislative body. Elected executive officers or officials like sheriff. county attorney / prosecutor, treasurer, clerk, assessor. Municipal government structures. These are incorporated areas with their own charter granted by the state. Common forms. Okay. Don't need to go into that. Key principles. Home rule. Some states give cities more autonomy via charters. Dillon's rule. In other states, cities only have powers explicitly granted by the state legislature. And the fact that local governments focus on police powers, protecting the health, safety, morals, and welfare of residents. Here's a clear breakdown of your local representatives if you live. Places you in Bakersfield in Kern County, California. Municipal city representative of Bakersfield. The city government is run by the Bakersfield City Council. Click on that. What does this give me? Nice looking place. Mayor Karen K. Goth, president over the city council and represents the whole city. Council members by ward. So then these are the people that are elected, right? The 7 wards, each with its own council member. Vice mayor. Your specific council member depends on your city ward. Ward 7. Man Bripped Cow. not even gonna try. However, official ward boundaries change and you can confirm exactly. County representative, Kern County. County level, your government is the Kern County Board of Supervisors, which governs county-wide services like elections, property rights, health, and sheriff department. Or Kern County Board of Supervisors. All right, so these are the people that are elected. Can I see this? Climate. Hot. Got it. All right, let me see. You want Kern County, California. Let's just pull this up. Bakersfield. Oh, so it covers a huge area. Representatives. I want to find the representatives. Ugh. I don't know, it's so easy to find when I looked up the district I lived in Canada. It's not going to give it to me. That's not the person. All right, well, I'm done trying to look. So the system seems very similar to the Canadian system. The local level having two different, the county and the municipality, like that's kind of combined to one, more or less, in Canada. Let me make sure of that. The US has a county and municipality system. How does that compare to the Canadian system? Oh, this isn't the one that's going to try to read it to me, is it? No, we're good. Both both countries' local governments are creatures of the province or state. They have no independent constitutional powers and only exist because their higher level allows them to. Yep. The United States county first model. In most of the US, the county is the primary administrative arm of the state. Coverage almost every square inch of the US is part of a county. Dual nature, county serves as both a local government and regional branch of the state government. Okay, Canada's municipality first model. Canada relies more heavily on municipalities, cities, towns, townships. The gap, unlike the US, vast stretches of Canada, the northern wilderness, have no local government at all. They are managed directly by the province. The system changes wildly by province. For example, BC has regional districts, while Ontario has a mix of single tier, Toronto, and upper tier regional governments. Key structural difference. Sheriff. So the US has a county and then municipality system, and Canada just pushes it all into the municipality. All right. I've heard that provinces in Canada have more autonomy than states in the US. What is that autonomy? Because it sounds like, okay, let's just read what it says. You've hit on one of the greatest ironies of North American politics. The US started as a loose confederation and became highly centralized, while Canada started with a strong central vision and became one of the most decentralized federations in the world. While US states are powerful, Canadian provinces generally hold more exclusive sovereignty over their domestic affairs. Here is how that autonomy actually manifests. So is that like in the US, the whole federal government, their laws overwrite the laws of the state? Does that not happen in Canada? Let's see. Natural resources and the purse. In the US, the federal government owns about 28% of all land, controlling the mineral and oil rights on that land. In Canada, the provinces own the natural resources. Under the Constitution Act, provinces have exclusive control over non renewable natural resources and forestry resources. This means Alberta controls its oil sands, Quebec controls its massive hydroelectric exports, BC controls its timber. This gives provinces an independent revenue stream and leverage that US states often rely more heavily on federal grants with strings attached simply don't have. So US states, like this happens in Canada significantly too, where like the federal government provides the funding with strings attached essentially to the provinces. This is something that's done more heavily in the US. The states don't have as much control over their own resources, non renewable natural resources. Healthcare and social policy. In the US, programs like Medicaid are joint federal state ventures. The federal government sets massive amounts of policy. Canada, healthcare is 100% provincial jurisdiction. While the federal government provides some funding, the Canadian Health Transfer, the provinces design the system, hire the doctors, and manage the hospital. This is why healthcare in Canada actually looks different in every province. There are 13 separate systems, usually tied together by a federal act. Oh. The Notwithstanding Clause, Section 33. This is the nuclear option of provincial autonomy that has no equivalent in the US. Under the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, a province can pass a law that explicitly overrides certain constitutional rights, like freedom of expression or equal rights, for a 5-year period. Example, Quebec used it to pass Bill 21, which bans public servants from wearing religious symbols. I hear that that's still in the courts because I've heard about that one recently. In the US, if a state law violates the Bill of Rights, the Supreme Court strikes it down, and that's the end of it. Canada, a province can say, we hear the court, but we're doing it anyway. And then the legal battles ensue. Okay. Immigration control. In the US, immigration is strictly a federal matter. States like Texas and California cannot legally choose who gets a green card. Canada, immigration is a shared power. Provincial nominee programs, provinces can specifically recruit and nominate immigrants based on their own economic needs. Manitoba needs more welders, so they fast track them. Quebec has its own separate immigration department and selects its own economic immigrants independently of the federal government. Oh. Separate immigration department. Direct versus indirect power. In the US, the federal government often uses the power of the taxing and spending clause to force states to behave. We will take away your highway funding if you don't raise the drinking age to 21. Canada, the courts have been much stricter about preventing the federal government from bullying provinces into areas of provincial jurisdiction. The Constitution says education is provincial, the federal government generally has to stay out of the way. Okay. That explained it to me a bit better.